Hello and thanks for joining us on the first edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, INEC seeks mandate to deregister dormant political parties. Police confirm killing of 34 persons in ZAMFARA villages as bandits at BOKO Haram triple suicide bombing kills 30 in BORNO state. And later on the show, Ganduje orders probe into case of gorilla that allegedly swallowed 6.8 million naira. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Sam Ibemere. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. Many have referred to Nigeria as a country of copycats. This is due to our love for joining the bandwagon on issues from 3 political parties at the return of democracy in 1999 to the number of registered political parties in the country has risen to 91. Yes, 91. This high number is causing electoral bottlenecks, and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is seeking mandates to reduce them. Speaking in Makurdi, Benue State, INEC National Commissioner in charge of voter education, Festus Okoye, said the large number of political parties confuse many voters during election. Hence, there is need for the alteration of the 1999 Constitution to enable INEC to register dormant political parties. Babajide, in 1999, when we had just, I think, the All People's Party, the Alliance for Democracy, and this People's Democratic Party, you know, and before that time, we've had the SDP, NRC, the 2 dominant political parties under the Butch June 12 time. Now, all of a sudden, after the great court case that Chief Gani actually that got to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court now said INEC doesn't have power to regulate these political parties or to register or deregister them. Now, what we're experiencing, I saw that ballot paper in the last election, and the person that came third in that exercise is relatively unknown in the 2019 election, but because of the name, looks like the People's Democratic Party.
Yes, close to
PDP.
Logo and all that. So people, a lot of people voted for him in error. They voted for him in error.
Wonderful. So I saw that. I didn't envy INEC, and especially when the results came out. And INEC will go the whole hog, start by announcing all these political parties, 0, 0, 2, 1, 0, and it will take your time. People were listening, watching, waiting for PDP and APC. So how do we get out of this?
Well, I support what my friend Festus Okoye proposed, because it's absolutely the way to go. Before now, in our own discussions, informal discussions, we had complained about this. And it was also an issue after the election. Because when you look at the pattern of voting, you see clearly that apart from 3 parties, let's say 3 parties, the rest of the dozens of parties on the ballot are not known by Nigerians. So, and I think over the years, the requirement for registration had been too porous and too easy to surmount for parties. Once you have an office in Abuja, Opari, as the Yorubas will say, you have an office in Abuja. In the course of the electioneering campaigns, we saw parties disagree amongst themselves, and people going to just a party that just existed in name. People moving to such a party to try to actualize their ambitions. Just people, a contest of egos between some individuals.
You have Labour Party, you have Zenith Labour Party.
You see what we are saying? Now, you know that on the ballot, every party must be represented in form of its logo.
Honest.
But if you ask Nigerians this genuine question, how many of them can recognize more than 3 logos of political parties in Nigeria? Just 3. Give that assignment to even some of the most seasoned journalists around. That without the name of the party, these are logos. Put the names of the parties on the logo. Outside those 2 parties, or maybe outside 3 parties, because SDP logo too, yes, is discernible, you know, with the orange color and all that. So outside maybe 4 parties, Nigerians cannot identify with the logos of some of those parties. So we have to move on. We have to do something about the registration of parties. We have to create a threshold that parties must attain before they can be qualified for registration. In my view, one way to look at it is registration of members. Because INEC does not really pressure parties about registration and membership of parties.
How many?
So you must be able to create a threshold that will enable us to say, okay, if you don't have this many members, then you are not qualified for registration. There are other thresholds that can be created to make the thing more competitive, because right now it has become a market affair. It's not competitive. Anyone, any layabout can form a party in Nigeria. And what the parties have become, if you remember what happened during the election, they become more like supporters club to the big parties. Look at the shameful thing that happened to the SDP. A party that naturally should see itself as the third force.
Ahead of the 2015
now, in the
election.
heat of the election, claiming that it was going to align with another party because of the crisis in their own party over who should be the presidential candidate. And before the election, that matter was resolved in favor of Donald Duke. Whereas a chunk of his own party members had gone to align with the APC.
To declare for the APC.
To declare support for President Muhammadu Buhari, when your own matter was in court had not been decided. So a lot of these people just see political parties as a vehicle to make money during the electioneering period. They tell you, oh, look, I will give you my support. What are you going to give me in return? I can tell you that for the big parties like APC, like PDP, this thing became more like a bazaar, because political parties members will come and say, look, we will give you support in this state, but what do we get in return?
Just say 20-something political party
ask the APC leaders. They will tell you. They will tell you that these people kept coming and saying, look, what are you going to give us in return? We are ready to give you support that is non-existent. So this is the thing. We should have a way of regulating these guys so that only parties that are strong enough should be registered.
Sam, when you look at it, I even thought, okay, maybe after this election, it's okay enough that 360 seats in the House of Representatives, 109 in the Senate, if you don't have representation there, or the State House of Assembly, across 36 states, you can't win 1 seat and you're a registered political party. What's this?
Well, Ayo, the law is the law. And until you're able to amend it, you're going to continue to live by the law. And I think that's a basic fact, we must accept. It's ideal to speak about changing or reducing the number of political parties because of what INEC, deems the logistic challenges that they face in the last, elections, and even before then. So it will be interesting to see how that idea is pushed through the National Assembly, because you need to amend the Constitution. And that's where I have my worries. I share Jide's sentiments about, what INEC says it wants to do in terms of, reducing the number of political parties that don't seem to wield any kind of influence. What I think we should appreciate is that politicians, being what they are not likely to see this through. How do I mean? Because most of these political parties have become vehicles for them to negotiate, permit me, pecuniary gains. They are largely devoid of ideologies. So if you had a situation where these varied parties, altogether about 91 of them, have ideologies behind their pursuit of political power, then it will be a lot easier to talk about them coming together under, certain umbrellas to pursue their gains. So it's a complex issue, if you ask me, because I have, a challenge seeing how INEC is going to push this through the National Assembly. I think it's going to be very tough for them, because the motive for these guys in running to, establish political parties is basically not because of national interest. Jide calls it supporters club, and we saw it play out in the course of the last election, and I don't see much, changing. You had a situation where the last election cost us extra 69 billion naira over what was spent in 2015, and that's why INEC is crying out.
Logistics.
Are we going to continue to spend that kind of money? But Ayo, I think there's another issue for us to appreciate here. I think that trying to prune the number of political parties, even with all the challenges, is, in my view, somewhat escapist. How do I mean? If you have an electoral process that is driven digitally, you probably won't be talking about a very long list of ballot papers and all that. So I think that we must confront these things as they come, rather than pretend that we're not going to live with it. I mean, people have varied interests, and it's going to be difficult for you to stop them, including the members who are in the House or the Senate, stopping them from pursuing their interests. So I see a situation where it might be a no at the end of the day. I see difficulties pushing this agenda through, because if we do what is right, if we pursue our electoral processes and drive them, and drive the process through technology, I think that our fears in terms of how much it will cost us, or the burdens that we're going to face, will be somewhat reduced. So I want to recommend to INEC that beyond pursuing this agenda, that I think they should be looking at what technology can do for us in terms of helping us to manage the cost of conducting elections in Nigeria.
Julie, let's look at the results from the 2019 election. In the Senate, Senator Ifeanyi Uba came from the Young People's Party. Yeah. As in, one of the few senators that emerged from these fringe parties. Now, in the House of Representatives, in a place in Ondo State, I've forgotten where Mr. Ololabi is from. So, Idori. Somebody won from Social Democratic Party, SDP. In Ogun State, APM won some seats. APM, that the party Amosu floated, won some House of Reps seats and even some assembly seats. So when you want to check the demography, you just discover that these parties, it's not up to 10 in all that actually should represent, but the rest, when you hear those results from most of those states, you hear 0, 0, 0. Not even the National Conscience Party that Chief Gani Fahimi established before he died in 2003, as long far back as 2003, gave a good showing. Not even a seat across the country.
Yes, because those parties exist only in name. And unfortunately, we are now required to put all of them on the ballot. You see, we are a funny people. I'm sorry to say. In America, even in the UK, there are smaller parties, but they restrict themselves to county elections and the rest of them.
Going for presidential election.
It's only in Nigeria that everyone thinks he can become president. And they take the joke to giddy extents that even when you are interviewing them, you hear them saying, like, when I'm sworn in, someone who knows that he cannot win an election. I remember one of them who contested, I think for Osun. Unfortunately for him, he knew in his heart that he could not win an election. So when he was now pointing to the current governor, Oyetola, you know, when they were saying, okay, the incoming administration should be able to do, so I think something about education. Absent-mindedly, he pointed to Oyetola, which means he knew in his heart that
I'm going nowhere.
He was on the debate panel. He was on the debate platform, and he was pointing to someone else.
And the prospect
who
is
was
better.
most likely to win, and throwing that challenge at a co-competitor. So, if you were sure that you could do well, you could win the election, why would you be pointing at Oyetola that Oyetola should take note of what was being suggested? Because in his heart of hearts, he knew he was a joker. Those parties do not exist. Balabe Musa, for many years, in fact, I remember Balabe Musa once called me to say that the person who was running the party for him in Abuja stole money. You know, there was a time the INEC was giving them money. You know? And I was saying, they stole money, that he wants to do something about it. Balabe Musa's party, PRP, exists merely nostalgically until this last election, when some money-back politicians saw an opportunity in PRP and they decided to contest using that platform. And a few of them won. You see, that can happen. But it doesn't mean that the PRP is such a monstrous party, it's a big party. But what we are saying is that for parties to qualify, since all of them want to play on the big stage, you must show that you are qualified to play on the big stage. Otherwise, the law should be such that they could be resisted, limited to local government elections and other smaller elections. Some of the jokers who materialized during the presidential election should have contested for Senate, should have contested for House of Reps, but they chose to punch above their weight. And what happens when a bantamweight boxer decides to go and fight someone, even cruiserweight or light heavyweight? You are going to be served the lesson of your life. So we have to find a way to stop. I can't stand the kind of, because look, what it happens if we don't do something about it, the figure of joker parties will be longer than we had the last
because
time.
Some
INEC
told us that they still have applications from like 30 political
are we
parties.
going to wait until that day when 300 parties will register for the election in Nigeria? Since we can't find a way to kind of limit the number of parties, we have to find, in my view, there shouldn't be more than 10 parties. In my view. So the threshold, and I know that the president is working on that. A lot of them do not know that the president is already working on those thresholds. They will see it when it will happen. The threshold must be such that at the end of the day, we will not have the dozens of parties that we have. How many parties get involved in the election in South Africa, for example? And the political scene in South Africa is very vibrant. With all those guys always wearing their cap.
Honorable Malema.
Thomas Malema, all of them. You know? So this is it. This is what I want to see. It is not by number. It is, even if you have a few parties, let them be vibrant, let them be competitive, let them be the sort of parties that Nigerians can look forward to bring real growth and development to our country.
Sam, moving forward, in 2023, if INEC approves the new political parties we're looking at, and if you get the number of invalid votes, you have a kind of fair idea, because it's not all our electorates, you know, not all of them are, in terms of enlightened politically. When the voter education, they don't carry it properly. You now see a lot of avoided votes at the end of the exercise.
Yeah, it will seem a long time.
The columns are smaller.
Yeah, smaller. They will just do it across.
Yeah, it will seem a long time from now, but 2023 is just next door. And I think that is where INEC has, you know, to
Should they register more political parties? They don't have any reason not to register those associations. That
yeah, but if they push for a change constitutionally, and it doesn't work, they'll be left with dealing with the very hard facts. You know,
because in that National Assembly that we are talking about, only a few of those big parties dominate the National Assembly. It is what they want. But as long as it does not affect the interest of the big parties, they are going to create
even the senator from the Young Democratic Young
will eventually go and join the big parties. Has it not been following Lawan all over the place?
What I'm saying basically is that there's going to be lots of work. Remember, there are stakeholders involved, and you know, like you have rightly acknowledged, it won't be mere wishful thinking. So we expect that INEC would do its work, you know, assiduously, and push for this fresh agenda.
Okay.
We want an electoral process that is clean, that is credible, and that is fair, where every person has an opportunity to air his views and hold his opinions.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Still to come, please confirm killing of 34 persons in ZAMFARA villages as bandits, and Boko Haram triple suicide bombing kills 30 in BORNO State. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Anger. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. It was Marie Conley who once quipped that in the midst of life, we are in debt. In Nigeria, we are now faced with that sad reality as death now hovers in the horizon, even in a supposed peace time. The killing spree by bandits in northwest states of ZAMFARA continued with the death of 34 people in some villages in Shinkafi local government area of the states. The State Police Command confirmed that attack, but said combined security personnel are on the trail of the perpetrators. In the northeast, 30 people were actually killed on Sunday in a triple suicide attack by Boko Haram insurgents, marking the biggest mass killing this year by the suicide bombers. The explosion occurred when 3 bombers detonated their explosive outside a football viewing hall in Konduga, BORNO State. Rather unfortunate there. It's taking another dimension, Babajide, and now, when like 2 hours ago, when I listened to the radio and I got this information, it was like, oh, I looked at the number, because that's the first thing I consider now. It's no longer news now. When you say they killed 10, 20, 30, it is the number you look at. And it's so bad that it might not even make news headline tomorrow. Yeah. Because
it's that bad now.
It's that bad. Before you get scary, you know. Yeah. And meanwhile, these figures, when you check it actually, they will be more than, it's higher. We're not good higher when it comes to figure.
It's usually higher because, especially where you have suicide bombing, people are going to be injured.
Yes, and some of them
will lose blood, and we don't have enough trauma centers to take care of victims. So some of them will die. So where 30 or 32 is recorded as having died by NEMA, NEMA,
the injured ones.
The NEMA will also give you the feeling that it's possible that the toll will rise because some of them could have been badly injured, you know, that as soon as they are delivered in the hospital, they give up. It's just like what happened in Niger, the attack in Niger State. 70 people are believed to have died now. So last week was a very, very terrible week for Nigerians. We lost soldiers because Boko Haram overran some army bases, lost soldiers, lost another commander, a lieutenant colonel. You see, when we lose ordinary soldiers, people don't get worried as when a commander dies in the course of an attack by Boko Haram. Remember when we lost Lieutenant Colonel I.Y. Aminu the other day, even the Chief of Army Staff personally attended his funeral. That's to tell you the place that, the importance that we attach to commanders. When we lost Sakaba, the army gave instruction that they should go and bring his corpse. They had to go back
To the theater of
They
war.
had to go back to Metele to bring his corpse. Because it's the worst thing that will happen to say, okay, you lost troops, you lost the commander, and they can't find the commander. So we had to go back and bring the corpse of Colonel Sakaba. He was shot on the head by Boko Haram, and they put his body against the tree. He was just there. And then his colleagues came and took him away. So we are going through hellish times. And I read somewhere that the commissioner of the IG was saying that crime wave was going down in Nigeria. And I'm like, is this man in Nigeria at all? Does he know what he's saying? Elsewhere, even the IG will have resigned by now. Because these killings, you cannot. How many people died in Sri Lanka? And the police chief had to go. But here we are, our own IG is telling us that crime wave has gone down. Where? In which country? You see, we just don't like telling ourselves the truth. A friend of mine posted on Facebook that he traveled from Lagos, went to part of Kwara, came back, and no herdsmen attacked me, no kidnapper attacked me, things have been exaggerated. And I looked at it and said, see this funny fellow, that you can come back, you should be thanking God. Because we have seen our own friends, we've lost friends to kidnappers. A lecturer from my village who was defending his PhD, he was killed by kidnappers. He fell sick in the forest there, and maybe they got tired of, because other people that they kidnapped with him, they released them. They are tired of carrying him up from one point, they just left him to die. So people who are lucky to go from, you travel from here to Osun State, or even Akure and other places, you are lucky God spared your life. You are now running your mouth and giving us the feeling that, oh, all is well. Even the governor of Ondo State, who came under attack, will not say the rubbish that you are saying. So if we continue to make it look like our problem is not that grave, then we don't know what we are doing, and things will get worse. So the people in charge of security, people like the IG, should stop diminishing the extent of the problem that we are going through. 70 persons lost in one attack in Niger State. And Boko Haram has followed that up to kill 30 people in one day. And you say crime wave is going down. In which country? And you want me to sit here and say that you said something that is correct? Oh, no, I will not say that. I will say you've lied from the pit of hell. because we can see clearly. Look, if you tally all these figures, including soldiers lost, soldiers lost in those in the army bases that were overrun, it's over 100 in 1 week. It's already over 100. That's a calamity. In any part of the world, it's a calamity. If we get to the point whereby human life becomes cheap in our country, I pity the generation that is coming behind us, because life will be extremely brutish to them, because death will be so cheap to them that it doesn't really make a difference anymore.
Sam, this is very sad, especially those in Konjuga that went to one other thing that gives the joy.
Just to watch football match.
To gather together and watch a football match. And we have suicide bombers going to detonate their destiny.
It's very pathetic, very, very pathetic. And each time we gather here, we always have had cause, you know, to pay condolences and all that. And I ask myself, for how long are we going to, you know, have a situation where anytime we, you know, meet to discuss the issues or affairs of our country, the first thing we do is to say condolences to families, you know, who have lost, you know, persons. It's really very sad, very, very sad. And like Jide said, we have to be very truthful, you know, to ourselves. The security situation is taking a terrible turn. And if we say we're heading towards a failed state, that is putting it mildly. You know, countries that are experiencing war don't get to witness the number of persons killed in a day like we have experienced in our country. That's 100 in less than
over 100.
Over 100 in 48 hours. I mean, that's putting it vividly. In some places, that's a whole local. I mean, a whole. Let me not exaggerate. A whole village, you just wipe them out. It's a shame, and I think that we, as a people, must accept that we have, you know, a terrible challenge on our hands. And for our leaders, we must have to find. I'm sorry, I'm short of words because it's really very painful. We just have to find means of stopping these killings. I read about the governor of the governor of ZAMFARA, who I understand says he's going to reach out to some experts in Dubai on his way to wherever on Lesser Hajj and all that. And I wonder what kind of succor that's going to bring, you know, because ultimately he has limits in terms of the kind of authority or power he's going to exercise, even if he gets all the security experts in the world. We have a highly regimented, you know, security in architecture, where whatever happens, you know, trickles down from the presidency. So I think that our leaders have to take a very serious look at these things. And if what we have done in the past is just to pay a glance, you know, we must come to terms with the fact that it's gone beyond the ordinary. I pity the likes of, you know, Adesina and Garuba, who seem to have developed automated notes for this, you know. So each time it happens, they just quickly automate their systems and send out condolence messages, you know. So it's become like a normal thing, and it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame, you know. And I'm pained by the fact that in a time like this, we have our army chief, you know, working on what I hear is a book where he has described himself as a legend, you know. So you wonder what manner of legend we have on our hands, you know. I think that we should take these things very seriously, very, very seriously. And the buck stops on the president's table.
Don't hold people accountable. And there's always a reward for mediocrity in this part of the world, because I see no reason 30, 50, 70, and somebody is still keeping his job.
Yes. Yes. And
over and over again.
See, if the president comes up with this idea now that if in your domain, you are the DPO in this domain, if they kill people, you lose your job. you lose your commission, that they will sit up. But you can't do that without providing them with all that they need. Because it's convenient for us to simply abuse security people that they are not doing enough. Have they been given all that they need? Because that's crucial. I was talking about DPOs being given 24,000 as impressed, quarterly impressed.
To do what?
What is anybody going to do? What are you going to do with 24K?
And even fill the operational vehicles.
In that's
3 months.
3 months. And it's not one DPO alone that I spoke. Across the country, I was calling DPO, different states. I think even the former the former CP of Lagos State, once even talked about that. I think maybe his own is like 30-something thousand or so in a quarter, and you want them to do miracles. Magajin Gerindaura has been picked up, or was picked up, about 50 days ago or more.
About 2 months.
Nobody has heard anything about him. In the president's hometown, we've not heard anything about Magajin Geri, a big man, someone who rose to the top at the customs before he became a traditional ruler. Just picked away like a fly.
It's very
And the IG will be telling us that crime wave is going down. I wish I was at the event where I said that.
Maybe it was misquoted.
He has not denied it. Has he
This
denied
is
it?
not something that he can defend. He can't defend this.
He can't.
In fact, it is insensitive to say this kind of thing in a week in which we lost so many of our compatriots. Elsewhere, we'll be battling to keep his job. What's wrong with us? Kidnappers have become emboldened to open fire on a governor's convoy. And we are making this thing look like it's a small matter. Look at the governor of Ondo State. He raised an alarm to the chief of army staff.
The governor of
Osun State. He raised an alarm. That's to tell you the extent of the problem, not the funny write-ups that my friend is putting on Facebook that he traveled to this, he traveled to that. You are just lucky. You know, I said it when they said that they were closing down mines in ZAMFARA. I said it will not stop killings. If you remember, I said so. I said it's a waste of time to say, because the killings are not related to mining. Shinkafi, where they are talking about this attack, Shinkafi has not got gold deposits. They don't do mining there. What of even Savannah, all those areas where they are killing people seriously now, and there are no gold mines there. There's no gold, people are not prospecting for gold. So I said it then that's not the solution. I've been vindicated now. You close the mines, but people are still being wasted in ZAMFARA. Because it's not related to gold mining.
You know,
I just hope that we'll be able to solve this, because for me, I don't see why this should be happening. If taking so long to protect lives.
It's the responsibility of
People are
government.
dying.
Basic responsibility.
Every day we come here and talk about people dying, like fowl.
And
What's going on?
yeah, you know, the disturbing aspect of it is that it's spreading even faster than we thought. The Southwest is almost overtaking. The Southwest
If
governors...
you talk about it, they won't like you. They will tell you that you are working for a certain interest.
But
you should not talk about
these are hard
it.
realities. These are hard realities.
We have all kinds of people in our country.
The governors are about to come together to say, look, we need to find a solution to what is happening. Even banditry.
Why did Oyetola appeal to the IG,
Chief of Army Staff?
If it is not a problem? Can Kayode Fayemi tell me that it is not a problem? When we know how much Kayode Fayemi is spending. You go around, you go to Kogi State, you see police, soldiers. The governor is investing so much on security. Because kidnapping is almost every part of Kogi, they are kidnapping people. Almost every part.
Even the bandits are beginning to make videos,
They're emboldened.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they were saying it the other day that they should come and come and
Taking the form of insurgency.
No, they are saying come and kill us if you want.
How else would you describe
When I
that?
saw what was confiscated in
They've become insurgents.
Kaduna,
They become
Abuja Road.
insurgents. So
Anytime they go out, they must seize those weapons. Those guys are well armed.
Yeah.
Those of them in the forest of along that Kaduna Abuja highway, they are well armed. I don't know when this whole thing will end, though, because we can't continue like this. Those people being killed, and we are making it look like it's not a big problem until it affects a member of our family. Okay, if it's not a big problem, it has affected someone from the president's, if the president's in-law, and we have not found him.
Even for some time, the governor of Katsina State, the in-law.
That's
the point he's
mother-in-law.
That's the point he's making.
No, it's a different case.
Oh.
Yeah, the governor, Masari himself.
Okay.
The
Okay,
ADC to the president.
Yeah, and then the in-law to...
The person is in-law to both the ADC to the president and to the president himself. And we have not found him. And people will sit down and be saying that, oh, it's not a big problem because it has not affected a member of your family. The day it affects a member of your family, you will be shouting on the rooftops that, oh, they have come again. No. At that time, they will say it's home trouble.
And people actually, they've been raising alarm about ZAMFARA, particularly, but it's now spreading all over now.
It's coming down. Nowhere is safe. Especially kidnapping. People have suddenly discovered that kidnapping can fetch so much money. So there's no part of Nigeria where kidnapping is not taking place. No part. Maybe in the past, it was limited to some parts of the southeast, and some parts of the south.
Robbery
But it
is no longer lucrative.
No, it's not fashionable anymore.
Is that?
The effort and the risk is not commensurate with the gain. But if someone can pay 60 million, you pay 60 million to kidnappers. And that money was delivered within 48 hours. So you want to tell them, that I know an oil magnate in the Abuja, Suleja area, who was kidnapped and he paid 100 million ransom.
And they will do it.
Yes, he paid 100 million ayo. Oil magnate.
100
big
million.
time.
How much was the advance?
NNPC?
How much was the advance collected?
$1 million.
$1 million. Smart guy. He wasn't even interested in naira. It's a shame.
All right, now, Nigeria is a country of possibilities, including the good and the bad and the unimaginable. After a snake was alleged to have swallowed 36 million naira at JAM, another beast has gone rogue. This time, a gorilla has been accused of swallowing the sum of 6.8 million naira generated by the Kano Zoological Gardens from gate fees during the Eid al-Fitr celebrations. But a miffed Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has ordered the State Anti-Corruption Commission to probe the claims by the Kano Zoo. The governor's chief press secretary, Abba Anwar, said the order was given on Friday and the commission has already swung into action. Sam,
Yes.
what's happening here?
Comedy.
Oh, I saw the story. I didn't get
comedy.
it.
I don't know.
6.8 million naira.
Like you just don't need to stress it. Comedy, pure comedy. It's only something that can come straight out of Nollywood. The last time it was a snake, you know, and we thought it was a joke. And probably because nothing happened, or seems to be happening very slowly, some other person had the guts to tell us that a gorilla swallowed 6 point something million. And I've seen pictures, you know, make-believe pictures of gorilla with a protruding stomach. And you wonder if it is real. Of course, Ayo, you and I know that no gorilla swallowed any money. An individual stole the money. An individual stole the money. And that's why I think that, again, maybe that's what some of the challenges what we have to face, you know, when you want to be legalistic about these things. Setting up an anti-corruption, whatever investigation, what you get, it's clear an individual stole it. We can only encourage. But it's somehow
the officers
of the law.
What they are saying, okay, it's a zoo. This thing happened.
Yeah, we've been told
in a zoo.
we've been told the story of how people came to watch animals during the holidays, paid gate fees, and somebody was it a gorilla that was collecting the money? An individual was collecting the money. Or did they collect the money to feed the gorilla? I mean, it's absurd.
Maybe where he kept it.
We know it's not correct. We know he stole the money. But of course, we are going to allow the law to take its course. But we want to encourage our law officers to make this very, to expedite action very quickly so that we can make example of these people. It's only when the system is so slow that you have the matter dragged for months, for years, and then people tend to forget. And then maybe sometime in the next quarter, you hear about a dog swallowing money elsewhere. It's a shame. And these are stories that we fill the rest of the world with. And they imagine that these guys probably are not even any better than the gorillas that are swallowing the money or allegedly swallowing the money.
They'll be having fun.
Terrible image for the country. Terrible image for the country. And that's why I think that what the governor has tried to do, well, within his rights to do, I don't know what result we are going to get. Some of these cases need to be treated with dispatch because we know that no gorillas swallowed any money. An individual did.
Jide, what do you make of this?
No, it's just when Nigerians are copycats. We are just copycats, you know. This one is even, this is
chimpanzee.
You know. So the thing is,
the innocent thing is being
be able to defend.
itself.
They can't talk now. They can't defend themselves. You see, the thing is not. We are copycats. Philomena Chise of JAMB claimed that a snake was used by the Kingdom of Darkness to steal money that she kept in a safe. She didn't know that the day of reckoning would come because JAMB candidates buy e-cards. You know, they buy those cards, e-cards, you know, by which they can access the JAMB portal and all that. And these payments over time, she was not remitting.
As typical of JAMB before.
Well, she was not remitting. So they sent auditors, okay, go and find out, go and do an inventory. Find out if some monies that are not remitted, you can bring back the cards. Is it possible that they were not able to, they didn't sell those cards? And if they were sold, okay, determine how much was unremitted. That was how Philomena began to sing another story, another song that is actually a snake, you know, that spiritually came into where the money was kept and swallowed the money. Now, on May 31, Philomena was arraigned by JAMB, I mean by EFCC, to explain how it was possible for a snake to swallow money in her care. Her case had begun. The funny characters in Kano thought that by Philomena simply lying against a snake, that Philomena was able to clear herself of any wrongdoing. But that's not the case. They have now decided to lie against gorilla, that the gorilla snaked into their office and decided to swallow the money. 5 days, money made over a period of 5 days during the Salah festivities. And that's the busiest period. So you decided to steal all the money, and you are now blaming a gorilla, an innocent gorilla who does not even know what to do with money. It is not their food.
I'm telling you.
It is not banana, for example. It's not banana. Money is not banana. In fact, if you throw money at the gorilla will be wondering whether you are out of your mind, because that's not his food. Well, now you are lying against the gorilla. This is not something that they should waste any time about. All the people, they've arrested about 10 of them. They should do their investigation with dispatch. let's see the faces of those lying against our animals. Let's see the faces, give them the shame that they deserve. Because if we do not punish wrongdoing enough in our country, that's why it's common. And we have to make our institutions so strong that even to steal becomes so difficult. For example, what stops them over that period that you knew you are going to experience big sales? Because the Kano Zoo, naturally over the years, had gone down in terms of patronage. I once lived in that area when I was living in our quarters in Kano. Now, during the time when you are experiencing boom, what stops you from liaising with a bank? Let the bank, they can even use plywood and all that to open a form of a cash office. So that as the payments are being made, the bank staff are taking delivery of it and taking it to the bank,
immediately,
to bank on behalf of the government. We have refused to do that in Kano now. The money gets stolen and we are blaming an innocent gorilla. I mean, it's unfortunate. And every time these things happen, you know, the last time international people across the world, they were ridiculing Nigeria. That's the country where...
Even African countries.
Yes. You see? So this is what will happen again now. They say these Nigerians have come again. Our friends from Ghana, you know they like to make fun of us. They will say, oh, these Nigerians have come with their esoteric stories again. Because it's just not practicable for this to happen. I'm going to ask my friend, Mohammed Garuba, the Commissioner for Information, how come it is Kano again that gorillas are eating money? Maybe we'll be able to shed some light. Because it's terrible.
It is.
What else can we say? Sam.
They will start eating money in billions now.
Sam.
Well, I don't know what else to add to, but I think we should stop making a joke of ourselves, as a people, as a country. We need to find very quick solutions. Corruption has become so endemic that every Tom, Dick and Harry.
Don't even see anything wrong about it.
Yeah, every Tom, Dick and Harry, thinks is a plaything because sanctions are not brought upon
not done
on time.
Quickly.
I think we need to take action.
I want to thank you, Sam Ibemere. Thank you for being our guest on this Monday. Babajide Kolade Otitoju. BKO, thank you so much. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. And also watch Journalist Hangouts on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangouts at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubako. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.